Welcome to HGAC's 12th Q&A, 2015 Tip Call for Projects Weekly Q&A session number 12. This is January 5th, and I hope we're just going to deal with some follow-up questions folks may have as we head into the home stretch for finishing folks' applications. I just have a couple of slides again to cover with folks. Again, this is the next to last session. We'll have one next Monday as well for any last-minute follow-up stuff. There'll probably be a few carryover issues that we're all dealing with, so we understand that. But thank you all for joining us today. Again, the deadline is next Monday. If you have questions, you can always use our tip@h-gac.com email address, contact me directly, or for TxDOT-related issues, contact Catherine McCrite. And without further ado, I'm going to jump right in to see if anybody has any questions. First of all, I just want to make sure I'm kind of using a jerry-rig setup here. I just want to make sure folks can hear me okay. I'm assuming folks can hear me on the line. If somebody could post something to the questions or something like that, that would help just to make sure that I'm sure that I can, folks can hear me okay. Okay, great. I'll flip to the Q&A screen just to capture any questions folks may have. I know I've been asked this morning about the results of the analysis. I know the modeling folks are hard at work on the travel demand model stuff. I do have all of the safety analysis requests back. I'm packaging those up and sending them out. We've got a little key for folks to make sure they understand the full spreadsheet fields and everything like that. There's a lot in there, but most of it's pretty simple in terms of what you need to focus on and make sure you're including. Again, I'll include a link to that TxDOT Highway Safety Improvement Program document that will give you some guidance on making sure you know what types of crashes are relevant for different improvement types, and then we can go from there if any questions come up. All right, great. We've got a question here about for ITS projects. Regarding, is a 5-year operating budget necessary? There, and generally, I think I've kind of paraphrased some of that, make it a little more general. And the answer is yes, we still do need the 5-year operating budget. You can allocate out what the new system would be as a portion of your existing or expected budget that includes in-house resources. But really, the intent is to understand and make sure that the local government has the resources kind of lined up to continue supporting the new system. We do know, and we have had some local governments, even in the ITS field, experience some issues when times get tough, and not knowing exactly what's going to happen with our economy in the next year and a half, let alone 5, 10 years from now. We think it's a prudent planning measure to just make sure everybody's gone through that exercise, and the local governments are aware of what resources will be needed to maintain the capital asset that's being constructed or purchased or implemented. All right, so Rick, I hope that answers your question. Again, not seeing any other hands up. We'll just take this as an opportunity to take a look at the template for that. And under the tip, we have our 2015 tip call for projects. And scrolling down, one of the templates is for the project budget. Let's see. All right. And under the operating, just make sure that you've updated the spreadsheet. Hence, we put the little box up there. So if you don't anticipate or are not requesting support to have this available until, let's say, 2020 would be when it operates, then give us a 5-year picture from them. If that makes sense. And it's a pretty high level here, so we just need to know the major areas of expenditure, replacements, routine maintenance, that kind of stuff, licensing fees for software, whatever, however you need to break it out, but just a few breakouts is necessary here, not a lot of detail. And then the revenues are whatever they are. They might just be one line item that says general revenue, and that would be okay. All right, I'll take a look and just see if we have anybody's hand up. I don't see anybody's hand up at the moment. It looks like a couple of folks had joined us late. Just for those of you that may have just joined us, yep, we are still working on the analysis requests. The safety results I have in hand in the process of packaging those up for distribution to the sponsors so that y'all can do the interpretation that's necessary. Again, that's really just making sure that the crashes that are included in the analysis are pertinent for the project that's being constructed. If we're not really altering or improving the geometry of a particular intersection, we don't want to include crashes at that location if the situation is not going to be improved, just as an example. All right, I see Pat has her hand up, so I will go ahead and unmute your line, and we'll see if we can hear Pat.
Hi, David. Can you hear me?
My speakers are muted as well, so hold on just a moment. All right, there we go. Okay, Pat, are you there?
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you just fine.
Yep. Okay, great. Well, as usual, I have a question, and it really has to do with the benefit cost analysis. I just want to make sure I understand what the instructions are for us. Let me back up a second. In the materials from the TIP project workshop, I believe it is, for benefit cost analysis, you list the factors that are supposed to be used, but the one that we're kind of struggling with is the economic competitiveness analysis. And we have an example from a Tiger application, but it uses slightly different factors. Is that, as long as we explain the methodology and our reasoning behind it, is that acceptable to use? So, for example, rather than the property value increase, if we were looking at some other factor as a benefit, and again, we can explain it and justify that, is that acceptable?
Well, again, I think that's if that's what's available, that's what I would use. Please make sure that you have the appropriate documentation that backs it up that explains why this is relevant. And then if it's not one of these, even if it is one of these, we'll probably have a little dialogue on the process and how it's been completed, and see if we have any questions. I wouldn't tell you now that just because it's not one of these factors, it won't work or would not be acceptable. We'll just probably have a little dialogue about it. So,
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
so I would go ahead and plan on submitting that.
Okay. That was it.
That was it. Very good. Thanks, Pat. All right, and then I see Chip has his hand raised as well. Okay, so I'll try to unmute your line, Chip. All right, Chip, are you there? Oh, yep, there you go. We can hear you. Speak loud.
I'm sorry, I'm too loud?
No, go for it.
Oh, no, I just sent you an email this morning, and I apologize for being late to the conference call, but I wanted just to check on the status of our technical assistance request.
Right. Yep, no, understood. And the travel demand stuff is still being crunched. I do have all the safety data done, the results back from Jeff, and we'll be sending that out. I hope to get that all packaged up today. But that part is done. Again, that's the part that will require some additional interpretation by you guys. The delay results will probably taper out over this week and maybe even into next. But again, it's the delay results from the travel demand model are pretty much, it is what you get. So that'll be a completed spreadsheet like you would have just attached to the application. You won't have to do any additional work on the delay analysis piece, if that's coming from the travel demand model. Does that make sense? And
Yeah.
I know you have a railroad grade separation project. I don't know that we have anybody else with one of those this time, but I do know you've got your methodology described and posted, and we're looking through that. That's exactly what we want folks to do. That dialogue will continue over the next couple of weeks during our review process. So.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions, or is that it for you, Chip?
That's it.
Okay, great, thanks. All right. Again, I'll hang out here for just a few minutes to see if anybody joins us late that has a question. Oh, I see one. Yeah, same thing for the LCI bike. Yeah, we're in the process of working with them, packaging up the shape files you all sent us. And that's a straightforward analysis for our C&E group to do. Again, there's no additional interpretation required. Once the results are transmitted back to everybody, they kind of are self-contained, and you'll just attach that spreadsheet and reference HGAC has performed. In the hopefully unlikely event we haven't returned that to you by next Monday, you'll be able to, we'll give you something to attach in its place, and you'll just reference that the analysis is to be forthcoming from HGAC. And of course, we'll give you, it's during the application review process. So if you have any questions, we'll always be able to follow up and answer any questions that you have about what's been done. For the moment, I'm just going to go ahead and document Pat's question here. I see Pat's hand is back up. We'll see. I think she might have a follow-up question. Okay, Pat, are you there?
Yes. Hi.
Okay, yeah.
This is actually a different question. If the project sponsor is requesting transportation development credits for the project,
Yep.
that is supposed to be submitted along with the application, or is it in a separate transmittal, or how is that going to be handled?
The application should be developed at the same time, and it should be part of your tip call request. I can't recall if maybe were we missing an upload button there, perhaps. I know there was a note in there that indicated if you're seeking TDCs, make sure you fill out an application. In any event, yes, the application for TDCs needs to be supplied along with essentially the project budget, so we understand how the expenditures and revenues are being proposed to implement the project.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Sure. That was a great question. Thanks. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions, and it's been about 20 minutes, so I'm hopeful that anybody that might have joined us late has had the chance to hear their question answered, or at least have the opportunity to ask it. So thank you again for joining us today. Again, we will have another webinar next Monday. I would guess that there'll be probably a fair number of questions then. We understand, and that'll be good, and a last chance for folks to make sure what they've attached or supplied in the application is what we expect. Again, we're looking for a complete application. We understand there will, always be a few things that may drag out, and we'll likely have questions for almost every application. So don't be surprised if we ask you some follow-up questions or seek additional information. We'll be doing that again through the month of January. And if you have a major project application, just a reminder, we will be scheduling with TxDOT those follow-up scoping meetings if that's something that hasn't already been done. For example, if you don't have your environmental done, or if you had entered into an AFA and had a scoping meeting with them done already, we will be scheduling those hopefully pretty soon. towards the latter half of January is my hope. So again, thank you all for joining us for the webinar. We appreciate your participation. Hopefully it's as useful for you as it is for us. So again, I'll go ahead and sign off, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.